Okay. Sahana Vavato Sahano Punakto Saviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vitmishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaramat Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Vasudeva Satam Devam Kamsatanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishna Vande Jagadgurum. Om. So welcome everyone. So you would have probably noticed that I've sneaked in another another invocation. So this is we're going to talk a little bit about some about how the gunas relate to the Bhagavad Gita. So which is why I've kind of have got one on Krishna as well. So that's the last invocation. So welcome everyone. It's lovely to see you all today. And so the topic that we've got today is about qualities. So qualities of nature and qualities of us. And so we will, the name for it is gunas. So qualities is also referred to as gunas in Sanskrit. So there will be 4 Sanskrit words today, and we will probably have to kind of remember them because it's very difficult otherwise. So you will get to know them as we go on. So basically gunas just mean qualities, and I will explain what these qualities are and what exactly we're talking about. So we're going to be talking about the 3 qualities at the level of the universe. So this is building a little bit on the theory that we've been talking, not theory, but the philosophy that we've been talking about how the universe came into existence. And also we will be talking about the 3 qualities at the level of the individual, so at our level. And we will touch on the importance of understanding the qualities in our daily lives and how that can help us. So I will go as much as we can today on that topic, but if we do not manage to, then we will have our practical session where we will go in a lot of detail about how to change these and how to really use these qualities in our life and how to change them, etc. So so first, as usual, we want a bit of a definition of qualities or gunas here. And it's whatever we're able to experience with the senses can be explained by 3 qualities. So everything really at the universe, at the level, can be explained by just these 3 qualities. So it's mixture of these 3 qualities to explain absolutely everything in the world. That sounds very simple, doesn't it? So it's neat that we can explain mostly everything that we need to know with these 3 things. So we will look at the gunas at the universal, the level of the universe. And for anyone who is interested, you don't need to remember this word, but for those who want to know, it's jagat. Okay, so that's the Sanskrit word for it, for those who know it. But we're going to be using the term universe here. And then at the level of the individual, so that's our level. So, so what we said is last time we talked about this concept of God, if you like, as the creator. So we said the creator, so there is a creator, otherwise this world wouldn't happen. And the creator kind of existed in potentiality, and then there was the world that manifested. So the creator created the universe, but also is now preserving the universe, hence we are here. And this is the notion of God in this philosophy. So it is the creator, if you like, but also sustaining, the preserver of the universe. So, and the name that we used, you can say God, you can say creator, you can use whatever term you like, and this is formless and unchangeable and eternal. So this is always here and doesn't have a body, and so that's I hope this is all clear for everyone. If not, then we can kind of talk about it a bit more later on. And then, so the world, what we said is that, I mean, I did use the word creator again, but then we kind of said, well, the problem with the word creation in a way is that it implies that it's separate from us. But what it is the world has manifested from the creator, if you like. And we use the analogy of a spider last time, in the spider web that is coming from the spider itself, and that's the projection. So it's really quite similar. So the world manifested, and we are all within this this divinity, and we are all part of this divinity, and we are all made of this divine thing, and which is why we say that we are all divine, and which is why we are all divine beings. So that's the idea. And then we're no different from the creator at that level. So we are made from the same thing, if you like. So then what happens is that we are then bound in some ways that we talked about, the all-pervasive Atma. So the Atma is all pervasive. It's what our essence really. And then when we take birth, we kind of feel a little bit limited within the body, and the Atma is no longer all pervasive, the same as the Brahman, but it is limited to our body, we think. So so that is sometimes the word bound that we use. And this binding, if you like, this binding from this pure energy to being in this body. And therefore, in this process, there are different qualities, and this is what is known as the gunas. Okay, or the qualities. So we are all bound in some ways, and here bounding is not a bad thing. It's not a, you know, it's got to kind of be understood properly. But it is this fact that we are this divine thing, but then we don't feel like we're divine every day, right? So we are sometimes sad, sometimes we've got too much going on, and there are all these things that are happening that we sometimes think, oh well, I mean, I can't feel anything divine about myself, or sometimes we might find somebody in our lives where we think, where is the divinity gone? I can't see anything, you know. And as you know, you might think of an example yourself, and you think, oh, okay, was Hitler part of the divine? Maybe, well, he was, but then how come he didn't come across as that? So there was something that was going on here, and this is explained by these gunas that we are all affected by. So everything can be explained by this idea of gunas. So we're talking about the three qualities or three gunas, and we're taking a definition of as per the Bhagavad Gita, which is a text that I have mentioned before, and that's the one that I'm sticking with. And if you go on the internet, there are loads and loads of things, but this is the one that kind of makes most, that is kind of the one that I would talk about. So the three qualities are called sattva, rajas, and tamas. So these are the four words that we're going to be using today, and I can't use any other word, I'm afraid. So it's gunas, which is the qualities, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So we've kind of said that we're bound in this body in the sense that we don't feel like we're this pervasive atma all the time, or this unlimited immortal self. We don't feel like that on a daily basis necessarily. So and um, this bondage where sattva is predominant is where we have like predominantly pleasurable experiences. So and one of my teachers called it it's a golden cage bondage. It's bondage nevertheless, because we're kind of limited, but then it's not a very painful one. It's where life is relatively simple most of the time, and things happen all right. And then Rajas has got two, if you like, two characteristics within itself. And one is desires, and the second one is actions. So action means we're all doing action. So we're all sitting, we're here, we're listening. So this is an action. So everything that we do is an action. And as we've discussed, I think probably in the past, that an action results from a desire, right? So your desire to learn about this philosophy is what brought you here. So first there has to be a desire, and then there is an action. Okay, so a desire here is just a desire to do something. It could be precious for us to act. Okay, so any urge, anything, so it comes from a desire, from something that we feel we want to do. So this is what Rajas is. So Rajas is this constant likes and dislike, constant desires that we do, and then accompanied with the desires are the actions that we need to perform, right? So this is a bit more active, if you like. And then there is tamas, so that's the third quality, and it's got three properties. Sorry, the first one is negligence. And I mean, this is a translated word. So negligence here means negligence towards what needs to be done. Okay, so it's not just being neglectful, but it's kind of, you can probably notice it in people around you. So they know that there is something that needs to be done, but they're just not doing it, and they're just a bit neglectful about these things, and they forget about it, and that kind of things is what we're talking about. So negligence about what needs to be done. And then there is this idea of laziness and procrastination. Okay, so which is probably unknown to all of us. It is well, procrastination is putting off what needs to be doing. So it's just a tendency to not act now, but to just put it off. And again, this is not because we don't care, but it's just something that kind of causes us to act in this kind of way, to put off things, and just to feel lethargic, and to feel we'll put it off, and very often it's quite easy to put off things. So that's really what the second characteristic of tamas. And then the third characteristics of tamas is more this lethargy thing, is sleep. Okay, so is where we need to kind of shut down and sleep. So what I want you to understand is, as human beings, or as the world, or whatever, we're not saying that one is better than the other. Okay, so we've got to have them in balance, because imagine if you are completely sattvic, then that means you'll never sleep. Okay, so it means we need some of the quality of tamas to make us sleep, to make us kind of rest, and make us recover. And then also if we haven't got any rajas within us, then that means we are never going to act, we're never going to do anything, so we're just going to be sitting there. And so that's not, so basically it is not saying that they are bad, or but it needs to be understood correctly. So there's nothing judgmental about it. There is nothing good or bad, but it is trying to understand the balance of these between us. So it's the balance that we are interested in, and not not the eradication of one of these qualities, because that doesn't work. Okay, so so this is roughly what we mean by the these qualities. And so now I was going to say that so gunas is in absolutely everything. So this is not exhaustive. It's not. It's just an idea to kind of try to understand this thing about guna. So we can have, well, guna exist everywhere in the world, and some of the colors the colors are associated with various gunas as well. So color white is associated with sattva. So these are the primary colors, white, red, and black. So white is associated with purity and harmony, and then red is associated with action and passion. So just in terms of the color red, this is what it's associated with. And sometimes, you know, the color red, we associate it with fire, being red with anger, and all, you know, all sorts of these. There are a lot of these kind of things in our common language as well. Even in the English language, it's about red being associated with action and passion. Right, so when you see you know, all sorts of red dresses, and you know, so it's the same. It's got that kind of connotation already. I mean, you know, this is already observed. I mean, we don't call it like that, but this is pretty much what it is. And then there is black. That kind of represents darkness and delusion. So, you know, when we talk about something black, necessarily we kind of do associate with dark and with you know, and I think the examples that come to mind is you know, if you're a fan of Harry Potter and you watch the movies and you see the Dementors, they're all black, and you know, so everything that we need to describe that's got these characteristics. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but just to kind of explain that everything has got these three qualities. And also the different times of the day is very much associated with the gunas. So so we said that sattva is where we are alert, and it's where we are kind of at our best in some ways, and this happens 3 hours before sunrise. Okay, so 3 hours before sunrise, anyone is up? So this is when this is what these 3 hours are. And for some of you, you might have heard about it before, but there is a lot of talk about this in the Indian culture. It's called Brahma Muhurta. If for some of you would have heard about it, so this is kind of a time when the sattva guna is most predominant in the atmosphere. So it's more conducive for spiritual activities, for learning, and you know, so that's what when the sattva guna in the atmosphere is most predominant, and it also stays an hour after sunrise as well. So that's roughly what it is. And obviously this is just a rough indication, and it will depend, you know. Then so after that time, after the 1 hour after sunrise, then Rajas starts, so where everybody is up, and you know, activities, and the day starts. And so there's action everywhere and activity in the whole of the universe. And then we kind of say that this Rajas peaks, so it starts 1 hour after sunrise, it begins to kind of start, and then it peaks between like 12 o'clock and 3 p.m. and just roughly, right? I mean, I'm not talking about what happens in Norway, what happens in winter, and it's just a rough idea. So you can, you know, we're not going to go into those kind of details for now. And then tamas starts after sunset, after sunset, where kind of things start calming down. And and in a way, this is getting to the, to the core of, to real into the tamasic time of the day at 8 p.m. or 9, getting to 9 p.m. So this is really not a good time for learning spirituality, but obviously we live in the world and we've got to be a little bit pragmatic about things at times. And I'm not sure how many will come at 4 a.m. maybe if this is when I held the class, but there we go. Okay, so so this is just to kind of say that naturally the world goes through these patterns where these gunas are most predominant, and here this is what we're saying. And similarly, energy within us and energy around. So when we're talking about sattva guna, so the energy is a lot more balanced. And when we're talking about rajas, the energy is positive and it sets things in motion. And then when we talk about tamas, so it's negative, and then it slows motion down. So that's kind of energy level, if you like. And then we talked about the states of consciousness in earlier lectures, where we talked about the waking stage, the dream stage, and the deep sleep stage. And these are associated with gunas as well. So the state of consciousness is when we're awake. So there is sattva guna mainly. So rajas is dream, so it's kind of active dreaming, and then deep sleep is when we are kind of oblivious about what's going on. And then comes the kingdoms of nature, if you like. So when we're talking about sattva, we're talking about spiritual beings, goddesses, rishis. So they are spiritual beings, and then the human realm, and we're mainly is called as rajas. So I will explain that. I mean, it doesn't mean that we're all rajasic at all. It's just a classification of some way. And then when we come to tamas, so it's mainly minerals, plants, and animals fall in that category. Now, what we need to understand is that within each of these categories, there would be further division of these classifications. So among human beings, there will be sattvic, people who are predominantly sattvic, people who are predominantly rajasic, people who are predominantly tamasic. And then also you will find that one person can be very different at different times of the day. So it's not just, it's not just one person is the same all the time either. So the gunas kind of change. So I think once we were talking about, the difference between Brahman and the gods and goddesses. So basically, Brahman is formless, and the gods and goddesses, as we know them, Jesus, Krishna, or anyone, they are the most sattvic form of that, a manifestation of that Brahman. Yeah, does that make sense? So there was a question about the difference between, gods and these deities and actual Brahman. So basically, Brahman with very, very sattvic attributes is what gives us the gods. So they are the most sattvic representation. I mean, but then again, when you're kind of looking at the stories and about the readings, even within the gods, you will see some gods get very angry. Some of them do silly things, and some of them, So even within each of these categories, there will be there will be further classification. So this is just to give you an idea. So having said that, we probably need to revise whether we want to keep this time of 8 o'clock or not, or whether it's a bit too late. So we might need to revise that, but that's another thing to think about. Okay, so another place where we talk a lot about rajas, sattva, rajas, and tamas is food. Okay, so food can be sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So that's just the adjective related to sattva, rajas, and tamas. And so in spirituality, in this context, we normally say, well, spiritual aspirants, if you like, have to have a diet of that is based on harmlessness. Okay, so harmlessness means that might, there is nothing that describes this is harmful, this is harmless, and it's just pretty much based on people's own judgment of what they think is harmless, and there is a wide range of what harmless would be. Right, so for some people, even picking something from a fruit is harmful to the tree, right? So there is that kind of extreme, and then there is the other end. So it just really depends, and there is a lot of flexibility there. So there is no prescription about this is what harmless is or whatever, and then the individual is kind of pretty much free to decide. So what we want to understand is, what does sattvic food do to us? It purifies the body and it calms the mind. Sorry, there's quite a few spelling mistakes. So it calms the mind here. So this is one of the characteristics of sattvic food, and this is why people in a spiritual life kind of have sattvic food. And they will include things like pulses, not all pulses, grains, rice, not all kind of rice, legumes, vegetables, fresh vegetables. Not all vegetables are necessarily sattvic. And so, like with everything, people just have their own interpretations, and people take it very seriously and get even fanatical about it and judgmental about it. But it's not like that at all. It's just that, based on your body, based on what you want, you choose the diet that is more conducive to what you want to achieve in your life. Basically, that's the bottom line of it. And so Rajasic food can be obtained in a more harmful manner, perhaps, but the characteristic is that it stimulates the mind and helps us to get into action. So I think the most Rajasic food that we can all think about is a shot of espresso, right? So that really gets us into action. And again, please do understand that it's not being judgmental. It's not saying it's really bad and you shouldn't do it, right? So it's just saying that this is what it does, and we know that. I mean, this is not news for us. We all know that this is what it does to our body, and this is probably why we like it as well. So the thing to understand that we probably also already know is that taken in excess can cause restlessness of these things, of anything that's Rajasic. So, and it will include things that are excessively spicy, salty, and sour foods. This comes into this category. And and then if we try to understand what tamasic food is, and this is a definition that's always used. So it brings inertia, lethargy, confusion, and disorientation. I mean, so things that make you feel very heavy. And after you've eaten it, all you want to do is sit and chill, and just not even chill, but just do nothing. And just food that makes you feel that. And again, I'm not saying it's bad. Sometimes we really do need that, and so it's fine. I mean, so it is just really understanding the various types of foods, and then understanding when it is good for us, when have we been having too much of Rajasic food, and what would be the consequence of that if we keep going on. Therefore, what do we need to do if we have been having too much of tamasic food, and we know that this is, it's like, day after day we're feeling lethargic, then we probably need to review this, okay? And also, if we have a physical job, or if we've got to if we've got energy, to spend energy, then we need starchy food. We need, well, a lot of the starchy food is kind of, things like potatoes, yam, or these kind of things are classified as tamasic, but we need it. We need it to, to give us that feeling of fullness. We need other things to make us go and do what we need to go. So basically, we are the best judge of what a sattvic food is and what it isn't, and it is a judgment that we need to make. And similarly for animals, sorry. For animals, killing another animal and eating raw meat is very sattvic, because that's natural for them. That's what they need to do based on, on what they do and their characteristics in society. So it's just really understanding it in context. And again, with everything else in the world, as I said, that it's not a judgmental thing, and there are people who get very fanatical about it, and people who think, oh, I can't eat anything that's not sattvic. So for instance, I've got a lot of friends who are like, oh, I'll never eat onions because it's just too rajasic, and but it's I think the key, as we probably all understand as well, is moderation. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita says everything in moderation is never going to cause a problem. So I think we all know that. It's just how do you do that is more the question. So so moderation again, and just to be able to be aware of this. And another example as well is probably a thing like things like music, right? So music can be sattvic music, can be rajasic music, and can be tamasic music. So so example of sattvic music, anyone? No? Okay. So sattvic music would be classical music, for instance, is very sattvic. And you can imagine that, this is probably why a lot of teenagers don't like it, because teenagers are on the go and hormones and very rajasic in nature. So therefore, the sattvic nature of classical music doesn't do it for them. So it's just understanding a little bit of that. And tamasic songs are songs that are very sad, and and just get us into that kind of state. But I'm not saying it's bad, it's just what it is, right? So a lot of times in yoga, what we do is we're not judgmental about these things. We just say it as it is, basically. So and rajasic music, heavy metal, anyone? So so that's kind of, just, so basically it's very unlikely that we will be playing classical music in a nightclub where where it's mainly rajasic and it's passion, action, and activity. So this is really just a way of understanding that with everything we've got these three qualities that kind of helps to explain whatever is going on. And okay, so I just this came to my mind when I was preparing this. So these are things that we've all heard, right? So pearls of wisdoms, where we are told, oh, go to bed early, wake up early, do your studies early in the morning and not very late at night. And so and a lot of times we don't understand the logic behind all these things that we are told. And here about this waking up early is to do with the prevalence of the sattva and rajas and these gunas. And if the nature is such, then it's kind of more in harmony. And of course, I mean, not everybody works like that. And we all know that, a lot of people love working at night and are more productive at night. And a lot of artists are at their best at night, and, when it's all calm for them. And, so again, it's not a judgment. It's not just saying that you've got to switch your lifestyle at all. It's just saying this is where all these things come from. And also, things like when you're eating, do not talk. So I don't know whether that is common in the West, but in the East, we're kind of being told that when you're eating, you do not talk. And again, because that kind of changes the guna, changes the energy with which you eat, and it might cause disturbance in the body. And also there is this idea about do not wear black. So if for some occasions or some things we do not wear black, and the reason behind that is because black is a color that absorbs. So basically whatever there is in the just sadness in the environment, you're going to absorb that. And there is everything that there is in the environment, you're just absorbing everything, because that's what black does. So that's why every time people in certain things are told, well, do not wear black. And so for instance, in when people have religious ceremonies within this culture, people say, oh, wear white, and white is associated with this thing that you're not absorbing, but you're just letting go, which is this whole spiritual practice of kind of letting go the fears, letting go some of the beliefs that we don't want to hold on to. So a lot of it is about just letting go of things that do not serve us in any way. And also different colors on different days, and so again, this is based on the various gunas that are in the environment or in nature already existent. So therefore we are kind of more in tune with whatever is going, and also with whatever type of energy we want to attract, we kind of try and be in harmony with all this. So this is what it's saying. So it's just what is said. And it's quite interesting, because sometimes we kind of grow up with these pearls of wisdoms, and then we don't really know why, and nobody's even able to tell us why. But once we kind of understand them, we kind of begin to think, yeah, well, actually there is a little bit of truth in all that. And I mean, talking about food as well, is that I know a lot of people who would not eat anything that anyone else has cooked, because they don't want, the food to have other people's energies, other people's qualities into their food that they're going to be putting in themselves. And there is pretty much that belief that you are what you eat. And a lot of the energy that we get, a lot of the qualities that we get from the food determines our personality, determines who we are and what's happening. Okay, so then I wanted to kind of briefly talk about something which is a functional division of society. So there is a little bit of misunderstanding about this, and about what the scripture says. And again, this in the Indian context, and this is what is also called as castes or function or sections of society, if you like. And one thing to understand is that the scriptures, the source of the scriptures, in there, any division is based on, it's a functional division of society. So it's got nothing to do about, it's not condoning something, or it's not advocating something. But the original scriptures, what they say is that all these sections of society are classified, if you like, based on people's function in society. So the Brahmana here, which is different from Brahman before, so don't confuse that. And so their functions in society is to learn the scriptures, teach, and then they also dedicate themselves to the specialized pursuit of the Vedas, which are the scriptures. So that's, and the main guna that's predominant there is sattva. And again, as I said, it's not just one; it's a combination. And Kshatriya is a warrior class, if you like, or warrior section, or here it talks about all forms of public administration, so people who are running the country, the government, maintenance of law and order, defense of the country. So this is, and the predominance there is sattva and rajas first, and then sattva. And then Vaishya, the sections of the society that who are in charge of all the commercial activities, business and trade, and mainly their predominant characteristics are rajas and tamas. And then Shudra, they are given all forms of labor, so unskilled and semi-skilled, and to provide support to the other sections of the society, basically the workers, right? So this, and the predominant guna is tamas. So it's a functional division, but the important thing to understand by that, with that, is that it is not a birthright. So it is you as a person, how you develop. So there is class mobility depending on what you want to do and what you do with your life. So this is what it was intended to be. And what it is now is something completely different, and something very much man-made, and that happened over the years in societies. So I mean, I don't know very much about it. I'm not very qualified to talk about it, but I just wanted to kind of bring in this idea of what the scriptures says. So basically, this functional division of society is based on the gunas, and when I say the gunas, we've said that we all have all the three gunas, but then here it is the predominance of one guna over another is what we're talking mainly about. So that I just thought that's very important to understand as well, because that's something that make people quite uncomfortable about some of this. But I just thought it's nice to clarify what was intended in the scriptures. What has happened, I don't know. So then I wanted to briefly talk about personality again. So I will not have too much time to talk about this, but I will just say that so again, the combination of the gunas is what also determines our personality. So what is a personality? So a predominant identification is what defines our personality. So what we are predominantly about. So an athlete, for instance, we will know that they've got a strong identification with the body. It's all about the body being well, being able to perform, being able to, so that's about an athlete. So for instance, a university professor, so there is a strong identification with the mind, and they live in the mind all the time, and thinking and overthinking and thinking far too much, perhaps, or maybe not. And then sometimes we kind of say, well, artist, there's strong identification with the emotions. So the work of the artist is about the emotions, how the artist is feeling, and all that kind of thing. So that's, if you like, an identification in terms of personality, and also with changes in the gunas as well. And by nature, personality changes, right? So just like the guna changes, and the personality can also change. I mean, there might be a predominant personality, but the gunas around will change. And remember, other than the atma, everything else changes, right? So we know that nothing is here for permanent, nothing is here will stay the same as it is. And if we believe that, we know we're set for disaster, because that's not the way it works. So the only thing that stays there forever is the atma, or consciousness, or pure consciousness, or Brahman, whatever you want to call it. But everything else changes. So therefore the gunas change, therefore our personality can change. So why would we want to change? I mean, we might want to change our personality because of our likes and dislikes, things that we want to improve on, things that we want to get rid of. And again, this will come, and what causes these likes and dislikes? So they come from our sense organs. So sense organs, eyes, ears, tongue, touch, smell. So these are these are the sense organs, and we kind of what we take in terms of all these, what we see. We see adverts of things and we want them, and that's sense organs being stimulated by some, and trying to influence our likes or our dislikes. And also our likes and dislikes are based on what we have carried forward with us in this life from previous lives. So sometimes we understand a little bit why we like certain things, but sometimes we don't. And sometimes this is because of things that might have happened to us in previous births, and and that we've carried with us. So these are the and I think last time we might have used the term impressions, subliminal impressions that have stayed with us throughout different births, and that's what gives us our like and dislikes. So so I think this is a little bit where I'm going to be to be finishing today, but I wanted to say that on the 21st of February we've got sorry, why February? No, of March. So we'll be revisiting the gunas, but reflecting a lot more on our personality. So and we'll be looking at ourselves, and we will be trying to look at how we act, and just reflect ourselves, and what we would consider as sattvic actions, what we would think as rajasic actions, tamasic actions. And also there would be a lot more subtle divisions about this, about how an apparently very sattvic action can be very rajasic as well. Okay, so I mean, I will give you examples of this, and we will kind of try and look at ourselves a little bit. So so we're going to be having a little bit of discussions about things, and we're going to be sharing our experiences of people we know, and things that we've observed in society, and just to really understand this, and then to see how we can use this to just have to be where we want to be, and so basically, okay, so here, this is just to just a little bit of a teaser of what we'll be talking about. So sattva is, balance, peace, harmony, positive, clarity, light, creativity, openness. So they are positive, very positive characteristics here. And rajas is movement, activity, energy, excitement. Things like anger would fall into this as well. And then tamas is inertia, inactivity, apathy, dullness, dark, delusion, ignorance, and depression. So it's really to kind of start looking a little bit at these. And as I said, you can't be 100% sattvic, because when we are human beings, we need everything. But it is trying to say how we can change if we are too depressed and too negative, we need to move into, we need to kind of decrease that quality a little bit, and then get more of the other qualities, and how we do that. And there are loads of practices to do that, and asana practice is one of them as well. So sometimes we kind of feel that today I just want to kind of move, and I just want to move a little bit fast today. And then there are some days where you kind of want to move kind of balance, harmonious way, and all that will depend on the balance of of whether you're feeling rajasic, whether you're feeling tamasic, or whether you're feeling sattvic. So a lot of a lot of what we do, to lead a spiritual life, and by spiritual life I mean just a good human being, right? That's all I mean. And I don't mean go to the jungle and just leave everything and no internet and all that kind of stuff. That's not anything that I'm talking about. But so to be a good human being, we kind of sometimes have to change the balance. And if we are we are angry about things, and we will be angry, you know, this is life, and some things will really make us angry. But then how do we sattvikize the angry? So do we, the manifestation of that anger, how do we make it a bit more sattvic, so that we do not harm ourselves, and then we do not harm somebody else by it? Okay, so it is just trying to kind of start playing with this a little bit and understanding some of these, and also, I mean, you know, understanding of the gunas and what's happening with people close to us and people we live with, kind of opens a whole new level of understanding of what's going on. And then you kind of think, okay, I know you're a great person, but when, you know, you kind of say, okay, so now this tamasic behavior is taking over. So you kind of understand it in a way, in a little bit more of a compassionate kind of way. I'm not saying condone it all the time, but I'm just saying you start understanding what is going on, and that gives us a little bit more of an ability to kind of not suffer as a result ourselves, and not to make someone else suffer as a result of what's going on. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to say, and we're gonna now just end with a prayer. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So thank you very much, everyone.